The ship floated quietly above the silver moon, far beyond the borders of known space. Captain Erin stood near the viewing glass, her eyes fixed on the strange, pulsing light coming from the moon's surface. It wasn't just a signal. It felt like something was calling her. "That light again," said Nate, her second in command. "We scanned it twice already. It's not tech, it's alive." Erin nodded. "And it's calling my name." Nate blinked. "You heard your name?" "Not exactly. Not with ears. It's like—" Erin paused, pressing a hand to her chest. "Like someone's whispering my name through emotions. Scared, but also hopeful." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. They were trained for deep space missions, but this was different. Strange planets. Hostile environments, yes, but this, emotions that could reach across space. The ship's AI Claire spoke. "I've detected a pattern in the pulses. They are not random. They respond to Erin's presence. Emotional levels rise when she enters the room." "It knows me," Erin whispered. Later that evening, the crew gathered in the command room. Erin stood in front of them. "We were sent here to explore unknown systems. Now we've found something truly unknown. This moon isn't on any map. It doesn't show up on long-range scans. But it's here, and it wants to be heard. Someone in the back said, or it wants to lure us in." Erin raised a hand. "Maybe, but we won't know unless we land. I feel pulled to it, like someone down there is waiting." Nate looked uneasy but trusted Erin. "We'll land at first light." The next morning their ship descended slowly to the moon's surface. The sky was pale blue with streaks of white clouds. Strange, tall structures stood like silent watchers across a wide valley. There were no doors, no windows, just long towers made of smooth stone. As they stepped out, a wave of feeling hit them, warm and soft at first, like a kind welcome, then suddenly cold and heavy, like someone crying in silence. Nate stumbled. "What was that?" Erin looked ahead, heart racing. "They're feeling us, hearing us, without sound." They moved forward, cautious but curious. The valley was quiet, but the air felt full of whispers, not spoken, but felt. Erin walked ahead and placed her hand on one of the stone towers. Nothing happened, but inside her chest, she felt something tremble, like another heartbeat, not her own. Then, from behind a nearby ridge, someone stepped out. A girl, tall, thin, with pale violet skin and large eyes that shimmered like liquid glass. She had no weapons, no gear, only a small silver pendant around her neck. Arin froze. The girl stared at her, not with fear, but recognition. And not just that, relief. Before anyone could speak, the girl placed a hand on her own heart, and a wave of emotion rushed over the crew. They all felt it. Loneliness, sadness, years of silence, then something else. Hope. Arin stepped forward slowly. "You called me," she said softly. The girl nodded. Double quotes. "How?" Nate asked. The girl didn't speak. Instead, she pointed at her ears, long, elegant, and slightly curved in at her chest. "They don't use sound," Erin said. "They hear emotions." The girl took another step, then another. She stopped just a few feet from Erin. Her eyes shimmered again, and a soft wave of emotion filled the space around them. Safe, calm, curious. "What's your name?" Erin asked. Gently. A name did not come, but a feeling did. Her name was like wind over quiet waters, soft and hard to say in words. Erin tried to match it with something human. "Lyra," she guessed. The girl smiled. The emotion she sent now was clear. "Yes. Arin smiled back. "Leader, Arin." Nate tapped his gums. "Captain, this is big. We just made contact with a race that hears feelings. Not just hears," Erin whispered. "They understand them. They speak through them." Lyra stepped closer and held out her hand. Erin slowly took it. In that moment, a deep wave of emotion poured into Erin, not just from Lyra, but from the land itself. Fear, longing, hope, and something more, something buried and hidden. Danger. Arin, single quotes, as breath caught. She looked at Lyra. "What's down here with you?" Lyra's expression didn't change, but the wave of emotion that followed made every crew member shiver. They weren't alone on the moon, and something was waiting. Arin knew this wasn't just an exploration anymore, was a call for help, and she had already answered. Arin sat near the edge of a stone circle as the rest of her crew secured their small camp. The sky above the moon remained calm, but something in the air felt alive. It wasn't noise. It was emotion, gentle, soft, and full of questions. Lyra stood a few feet away, watching Erin closely. The alien girl didn't speak, but her eyes said enough. They were filled with curiosity and a strange kind of trust. Lyra tilted her head and took a step forward. Erin felt a soft wave of welcome. "She's trying to talk to you again, Nate." said from behind, checking his scanner. We're not built for this kind of communication, Captain. Erin gave a small smile. Maybe not with our minds, but feelings. That's different. She turned to Lyra and placed her hand gently on her own chest, then smiled again. A warm feeling like sunlight pushed back toward her from Lyra. Erin knew she was doing it right. Lyra stepped closer and sat beside Erin. Then she took a small glowing stone from a pouch around her waist and placed it between them. A hum passed through the stone, not a sound, but something felt deep inside. Arin frowned. Do you want me to touch it? Lyra nodded gently. As Erin placed her hand on the stone, she gasped. Her chest filled with feelings, not her own images, too. A great tree, glowing with light, a child running through soft blue fields, an old woman crying beneath a broken sky. Arin pulled her hand back. It's like a memory stone, she whispered. Feelings stored inside. Lyra nodded again, her emotions calm. Nate came closer. Captain, our readings say this place is rich in energy. Natural, but old. Thousands of years old. Erin looked around at the towers and stones. Maybe this is how they record history. Not in words, but in feelings. Lyra touched her pendant and gave off a soft emotional signal, sadness, mixed with longing. Then she pointed toward the west, where tall mountains stood under a purple haze. She wants us to follow, Erin guessed. They packed up quickly. A few crew members stayed behind at the ship for safety, but Erin, Nate, and 2 others followed Lyra through the quiet valley. The path wound between large stones and strange plants that pulsed with color when touched as they walked. Erin noticed that Lyra was sending signals not just to her, but to the land itself. The plants reacted. The air shifted. It was like the moon's wind blew gently as Erin and her small team followed Lyra into the quiet forest near the base of the mountains. The trees were tall and smooth, with glowing leaves that gave off a soft light. The deeper they went, the stronger the emotions in the air became. Nate walked beside Erin and whispered, I feel nervous, and I don't think it's mine. Erin nodded. They're everywhere. Their feelings are like whispers. We're walking through someone's thoughts. Lyra stopped near a group of flat stones shaped like benches. She turned and motioned for them to sit. The moment Erin sat down, a soft pulse came from the ground. It was peaceful, like being held. She wants to teach us something, Erin said, her voice low. Lyra closed her eyes, and a gentle wave of calm spread through the clearing. Then she placed her hand on her heart, and her emotions turned bright, curious, warm, and open. Arin placed her hand on her own heart, trying to respond the same way. She focused on how she felt, curious, amazed, and still a little unsure. Lyra opened her eyes and smiled. The emotion that came next was clear. You're learning. Then Lyra turned to Nate. Her face stayed soft, but her feelings shifted slightly. Was asking a question. Nate blinked. Me. I don't know how to do this. Erin placed a hand on his shoulder. Just think of something you truly feel. Not what you should say, what you really feel. Nate took a deep breath, closed his eyes and thought about home. About his little sister back on Earth who sent him a letter before he left. Warmth filled his chest. When he opened his eyes, Lyra was smiling again. She felt it. Arin watched closely. They don't speak because they don't need to. Everything they are is in how they feel. Lyra stood and motioned them forward again. They walked up a narrow trail until they reached a wide cliff overlooking the valley. In the distance, they saw tall towers different from the ones near their ship. These were older, cracked, and covered in strange carvings. Lyra's emotions changed. They felt heavier now, sadness, mixed with warning. Arin stepped closer. What happened here? Lyra touched one of the carvings and sent a strong wave of emotion, fear, chaos, and deep sorrow. Then an image appeared in Erin's mind. Solari running, their faces twisted with pain. The sky was red. Something had gone terribly wrong. Nate gasped. They lost control, didn't they? Erin nodded. Too much emotion, maybe too fast. They couldn't handle it. Lyra looked away, her face calm but her feelings full of regret. She pointed to a glowing crack in the stone. Arin walked up to it and touched it. A new wave of feelings burst through her. Pain, yes, but also something trapped. Something still alive beneath the surface. There's something down there, she said slowly. Something they buried. Lyra's signal was clear. Now danger remains. Erin stepped back. Her voice was steady. We need to understand what this is, and why it's still calling. The wind picked up. The forest behind them stirred. And deep inside her chest, Erin felt that voice again, the one that whispered her name without sound. The wind was quiet as Erin stood in front of the cracked stone wall. The glowing crack gave off a faint hum, one that wasn't loud to the ears, but loud to the heart. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat buried deep underground. Nate stood behind her, watching with concern. "This place feels wrong now," he said. "Like something broken is trying to wake up." Erin nodded. "And I think it already has." Lyra stepped closer, her eyes calm but her emotions full of fear. She placed her hand on the stone again, and a wave of memory passed through the group. Erin saw flashes, Solari cities filled with light, then storms of emotion sweeping across the land, tearing minds apart. "They had power," Erin whispered, "but something pushed it too far." Lyra pointed toward a worn carving on the wall. It showed many Solari standing around a tower, all sending their emotions into it. At first, the energy rose beautifully, but then the next image showed chaos. The tower cracked, and a shadow burst from its top. Arin touched the image. They built something to collect emotion, maybe to store it, but it couldn't hold everything. Lyra's answer came in feelings too much, too fast, too deep. Nate stepped forward. "Wait, you think that thing down there, the heartbeat, still holding those emotions, trapped?" Lyra gave a short nod. The crew member beside them, Ella, frowned. "If it breaks again, it won't just be the Solari this time," Erin finished. "We're here now, and we're feeling everything." They moved down the path that curved behind the mountain wall. The air became heavier the lower they went. Lyra guided them silently, stopping often to send out careful waves of calm, as if asking for permission to pass. Finally, they reached a quiet chamber carved into the stone. It was older than the towers, and at the center was a strange device. It floated slightly above the ground, wrapped in gentle light. The heartbeat was louder here. Arin stepped forward. The moment she did, the emotions inside the chamber rushed toward her: confusion, fear, anger, grief. It felt like voices screaming without mouths. "This is the heart beacon," she said slowly. Lyra nodded. Her emotions were sharp now: sorrow, and something else. Hope. "They want us to fix it," Nate said. "Or shut it down." Erin looked at Lyra. "But why me? Why do I hear the voice calling my name?" Lyra placed a hand on her chest, then gently on Erin's. The emotion she sent next was deep. "Because your heart is open." Arin understood. This wasn't about technology, it was about connection. Lyra's people had sealed away their own feelings to survive. But someone inside the beacon remembered. Someone still reached out. "Someone's trapped inside," Erin whispered, still trying to speak. The light around the beacon pulsed suddenly. A cold emotion swept through the room, sharp, like fear turning to anger. The beacon trembled. "We woke it up," Nate said. The crew stepped back, readying their scanners, but Erin raised her hand. "No, don't fight. Feel." Erin closed her eyes. She opened herself, not just to the beacon but to the memory trapped within. She thought of her family, of her team, of Lyra. She sent out her own feelings. "You are not alone." The light shifted. The heartbeat slowed. Lyra stepped beside her, tears in her eyes. Her emotions were strong. "Now thank you." Erin opened her eyes. "We're not here to take anything. We're here to listen." The beacon stopped trembling. And in that quiet, for the first time, they heard a single clear thought. "I remember." Erin breathed out, calm washing over her. "We made contact." But deep in her heart, she knew this was only the beginning. Whatever they had awakened was still powerful, and the galaxy wasn't ready for it yet. The air felt tense as Erin and her crew returned from the heart beacon chamber. The moon's pale light cast long shadows over the valley. Though the beacon was quiet now, something had changed. The Solari were restless. Lyra led them back toward the camp, but her steps were slow, her emotions mixed. Erin could feel the tension. Two uneasy feelings rippling through the land like a storm about to break. Around the campfire, several Solari gathered. Their faces were serious, eyes sharp. Some wore robes of deep blue, others in silver. Erin could sense the difference. One group radiated hope and openness, the other fear and anger. Erin's translator device hummed softly, but it was useless here. Words did not matter. Feelings spoke louder. One of the Solari stepped forward, a tall figure with dark eyes full of warning. His emotions were cold, full of distrust and fear of change. Arin stepped up, trying to calm the rising tide of emotions. She sent out waves of peace and openness, hoping to reach the Solari's hearts. "We only want to help," she thought. But the Solari's leader responded with sharp feelings. "Outsiders bring ruin." Lyra's expression twisted in pain. She sent her own emotions to Erin. "They fear what they do not understand." Erin knew this was true. The Solari had lived for centuries in silence, guarding through weeks past, and Jason and Arila's friendship grew stronger every day. They learned from each other, shared meals, stories, and quiet moments that felt special. The apartment no longer felt like just a place to live, it was home. One afternoon, Arilla approached Jason with a gentle smile. "I have an idea," she said softly. "What is it?" he asked, curious. "I want to introduce you to my customs, my people's way of sharing friendship. But here, with your friends." Jason's eyes brightened. "That sounds amazing. When soon? I will prepare a small gathering." Over the next days, Arella worked quietly, decorating the living room with soft lights that shimmered like stars. She arranged stones that glowed gently, and a soft scent filled the air. Warm and sweet. Jason invited a few friends he trusted, people open to new things and new friends. The evening arrived. Jason's friends were nervous but curious as they stepped into the softly lit apartment. Arilla greeted them warmly, her silver eyes shining with kindness. She began to share stories of her home planet of floating gardens, singing stones, and rivers that glowed under the moonlight. Her words painted pictures in the minds of everyone present. Then she showed them her bathing ritual, the one Jason had accidentally seen. She explained how the lights helped heal and refresh, how it was a moment of peace and connection with nature. Jason watched as his friends listened, some amazed, others thoughtful. The room felt full of respect and wonder. One friend, Claire, spoke up. "I never thought I'd meet an alien who is so gentle and wise." Arilla smiled. "We all share kindness, no matter where we come from." The night ended with laughter and new friendships. Jason felt proud to be part of this moment where two worlds touched gently and grew closer. Later, as the guests left, Jason and Arilla sat together, tired but happy. "Thank you," Jason said, "for trusting me, for sharing this." "Thank you," Arilla replied, "for opening your world to me." They looked out at the night sky, stars twinkling like promises. Jason knew that meeting Arilla had changed his life. What began as a surprise and awkward moment had grown into a friendship deeper than he imagined. Two beings from different stars, learning to live and trust, and this was just the start of many new adventures. Our minds and emotions like a precious treasure now. A stranger from another world had come, breaking the silence. Over the next days, the divisions grew. Some Solari welcomed the humans, curious and eager to learn. Others became hostile, warning that human feelings would destroy their way of life. Arin watched as one night, a group of angry Solari moved through the camp, their emotions sharp like knives. They sabotaged equipment, cutting power lines and sending bursts of fear through the air. Erin's crew fought to contain the damage, but the real battle was inside their own minds. The Solari's psychic attacks forced them to relive their worst memories: loss, failure, pain. One crew member broke down, overwhelmed. Arin found Lyra beside her, her eyes filled with guilt. "I didn't want this," Lyra sent in feelings. "They are afraid." Erin reached out, holding Lyra's hand. "We'll fix this, together." They decided to meet with the Solari leaders again. Erin and Lyra stood side by side, sending calm and hope. It took hours, but slowly the harsh emotions softened. Lyra showed Erin an ancient ritual, a way to share emotions carefully, so the Solari could understand without fear. Erin learned to control her feelings, shaping them like words. As Erin grew stronger, so did their bond. She felt Lyra's emotions, deeply hope, trust, even something like love. But she also felt the shadow of doubt lurking nearby. One evening, Lyra took Erin to a hidden path beneath the clear FFS. "There is more to the beacon," she said in feelings. "Secrets buried deep. If we don't find them, the danger will grow." Erin nodded. "We have to be ready." As they walked the narrow trail, the moonlight faded. Ahead, the earth shook faintly as if warning them to stop. Erin's heart pounded. She knew the real test was coming. The Solari's old fears, and the new hope they carried, would clash in ways neither race could ignore. But together, they would face it. The future of both their worlds depended on it. Arin and Lyra moved cautiously down the hidden path beneath the cliffs. The air was cool and damp, filled with a faint hum that seemed to grow louder with each step. The walls were covered in ancient carvings that glowed softly, telling stories of the Solari's past: joy, pain, and struggle all woven into one. Arin felt the heartbeat again, stronger now, pulsing through the ground beneath her boots. It was the heart beacon, but deeper inside, hidden in darkness. Lyra reached out and touched a symbol carved into the stone. A wave of calm washed over them, as if the path itself welcomed their presence. She sent Erin a feeling: "We must be careful. The beacon is alive," they continued, the path narrowing until they reached a vast chamber. In the center floated the heart beacon itself, a glowing orb wrapped in swirling light. It pulsed like a living thing, and the emotions trapped inside surged like a storm. Arin stepped closer. Her chest tightened as the beacon sent waves of emotion, fear, anger, sadness, but also hope and love. It was overwhelming. How do we stop this without breaking it? Nate's voice came through Erin's come, or worse, releasing all that pain. Erin looked at Lyra. The alien's eyes shone with determination. Lyra reached out, placing her hand gently on the orb. Her feelings reached into the beacon, careful and slow. Arin took a deep breath and joined her, placing her own hand beside Lyra's. Their emotions linked, mingling gently with the storm inside. Arin sent her strongest feeling, love pure and true, aimed at the heart beacon. She thought of Lyra, her crew, and all the worlds connected by this strange power. Slowly, the beacon's pulse began to soften. The storm inside calmed. The angry waves became gentle ripples. The light grew warm and steady. Keep going, Lyra urged, but then, a sudden surge of fear burst out. Like a warning, the beacon tried to push them away. Erin's heart raced, but she held firm, sending more hope and calm. The orb began to break apart, light spilling into the chamber. Erin and Lyra felt every emotion inside, lost souls, trapped for centuries. Finally finding release, Erin's eyes filled with tears. The pain was real, but so was the relief. When the light faded, the chamber was still. The heart beacon was quiet. Lyra smiled, her feelings soft, now gratitude, peace, and something more. Trust. Arin wiped her tears. We did it. Nate's voice came back. Captain, sensors show the beacon's power is gone. The trapped emotions are returning to their sources. Erin nodded. They're free. They made their way back to the surface. Outside, the moon seemed different, lighter, brighter. The Solari who waited greeted them with open hearts and warm feelings. Arin looked at Lyra. This changes everything. Lyra reached for Erin's hand. Their emotions entwined a promise of new beginnings. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt full of hope. The moon's valley was peaceful under the soft light of its pale sun. After the heart beacon was silenced, the heavy weight of trapped emotions lifted. The Solari moved with lighter steps, their faces calm and hopeful. Arin stood beside Lyra, watching the Solari share feelings openly for the first time in many years. Their long silence was ending. The air was filled with warmth and kindness, a language both alien and familiar. They're healing, Erin said softly. Lyra smiled, her violet eyes shining. She sent a gentle wave of hope and trust toward Erin. The feeling flowed between them like a quiet promise. The crew worked alongside the Solari to rebuild what had been broken. Machines that once monitored the beacon were repurposed to help the Solari share emotions safely. Old fears slowly faded, replaced by curiosity and friendship. Arin met with the Solari leaders, both those who had once feared the humans and those who had welcomed them. Together they planned how to protect their people while opening hearts to new possibilities. Our ways are different, one elder said, but our feelings are the same. Maybe this is how we become stronger. Erin nodded. Understanding comes when we listen not just with ears, but with hearts. Over time, Lyra and Erin grew closer. Their bond became a symbol of the new harmony between their races. Erin learned more about the Solari way of life, their deep respect for emotions, their care for each other, and their strengths in silence. One evening, under a sky full of stars, Lyra turned to Erin. Her feelings were clear. Will you stay? Erin smiled, warmth filling her chest. I will. They stood together, hands joined, ready to face the future side by side. News of their journey spread across the galaxy. Other races watched in wonder as two very different beings found a way to connect beyond words and fear. Arin new challenges would come, but for now, the moon was alive with hope. And the voice that once called her name now sang a song of peace. The future was bright, because hearts had finally learned to listen.